This is advice to all professional musicians and teachers. It doesn't really matter what instrument you play or teach. It's smart advice that I took many, many years ago. And anyway, what is this advice that I want to tell you? There's not a lot of guarantee in the music world for anything. You got a contract to play in an orchestra, a professional metropolitan symphony orchestra. Great. Now that's pretty decent and pretty reliable, but some of these symphonies and orchestras are becoming defunct. They're not receiving the sponsorship anymore and the funding. And of course, if you happen to have been in a symphony or an orchestra like that, that no longer had the funding, it went defunct, it went belly up. And where'd that leave you? If you're, playing an instrument, that left you searching for something else. And likely it wasn't very easy, whatever you got into, or maybe you never got into anything else like that after that. But that's pretty reliable if you can get it. The other thing would be a contracted teacher somewhere. Most typically in the secondary education system, public school teaching. That's actually why I got my music ed degree, so I had something to fall back on. So being a band director, being a K through 5 music elementary teacher, a choir director, those kinds of things add a lot more to your job security as a musician and a teacher. Problem is, and let me give you one reason I left California. It's not the only reason. Actually, the reason I left, not California, but the reason I left Northern California, I had been doing really, really well. And I had a tremendous private student roster when I was living in Walnut Creek, California. I mean, I think at one time I had 35 kids, and most of these kids were 45-minute lessons. Some were an hour every week. I mean, I was kind of making bank, for doing this thing. Well, in 2009, Mount Diablo Schools cut all of, what was it, all of fourth grade. I believe it was all of fourth grade music for the entire school district, affecting around 300,000 kids. That I noticed that hurt me as a private teacher about 4 to 5 months after that happened. So I just noticed that kids dropped off. I noticed not as many kids were starting. And then the next year, 2010, man, they put the last nail in the coffin. They cut fifth grade music. So now there's, at least at that time, now I don't know how it is now because I moved out of that area, but in 2010, we're talking no music in the elementary school program. Now that's bad enough, but what happened to the hundreds and hundreds of music teachers like us that thought they had job stability? Well, they ended up, many of them being unemployed and looking to do the kind of stuff that I was doing. So that made it, how bad did it make? Well, all of a sudden you had hundreds of people that had contracted positions, and then now they were doing what I was doing. So instead of having 35 students every week, it went all the way down to, I think I slipped below 10, because there were just so many people flooding the market to teach privately. So, but those are the two main ways that you can ensure you won't continue or have to fall back on being a musical whore. Yes, and I'm going to do another tutorial video about that for your entertainment. We, all of us musicians that have ever been paid even $1 for doing anything related to our instrument, whether it's teaching it or playing it, we all eventually had to become what I refer to as a very provocative term, a musical whore. And I'm going to go more into detail about that. But what is that? A musical whore is what we all were, and some of us still are at some points. Not me anymore. But basically that means that when the gig comes up and your name gets called, you better show the F up. When they call you for that $50 gig that you got to travel an hour and a half to across town, you better go do that gig. Because if you don't, what's not going to happen in a short amount of time? That phone not going to ring anymore. It's not going to ring anymore. So that's the musical horror. When they say, jump, baby, you say, okay, how high? We all have been the musical horror at some point in our life. And, being the musical horror means you have to take just everything that comes down the pike. And if you don't have a solid private lesson roster teaching base, and if you are not in an orchestra, contracted orchestra, and if you are not a public school teacher, I'm probably looking at you right now and you are the musical whore. And I don't care if you're Mr. Hollywood, A-rated player, whatever, you are the musical whore. You have to jump when those people call you. Whether it's to play lead trumpet at the Pantages Theater and do Broadway, or whether it's to show up at Easter morning and play that Sunday morning service with the orchestra, or it's something even simpler than that. You get a call for a studio session gig that's only an hour long, and you got to drive through traffic and pay parking, and you're not going to make that. You have to take that gig. That's the life of a musical whore. And anyway, if you've been in that position for a while, you want to get out of it. I mean, some people can do it all their lives, but I wanted to get out of that as soon as possible. And I've already alluded to how you get out of that. You have to take a contracted teaching job. You have to be lucky enough to have your audition accepted at a major metropolitan symphony orchestra. Or, I didn't mention this, you have to take a part-time job or a job in another industry. And so that's where the term comes from. Hey, don't quit your day job, right? Well, you're going to have your day job. Maybe you're a bookkeeper somewhere, or maybe you work at Home Depot. Who knows? But if you don't have that, you end up having to perpetuate the musical horror aspect of your life. Meaning, anytime your phone rings, anytime you get an email about doing a gig or a performance, you must show up. Even if it's someone that you don't like that's contracting you for that gig, or you got to play with some people that you don't like, you still are going to do it. And so this video is, although it might be a little entertaining, it has some very practical, sage advice for any musician and teacher that doesn't want to continue being a musical whore, or that would like to have more stability for the future. And that means just regular teaching, even private lessons. Like you already heard my story, I thought I had a pretty rock solid good gig there in California. Well, when they cut the whole music program at Mount Diablo schools, nope, that was no longer stable or consistent. So where am I getting at? Where am I going with this video tutorial for you? You're probably wanting to know. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, you have to develop some type or some line of musical products, education, tutorial, something that you can sell, something that will be of value to somebody else, and preferably something that you can sell on a regular basis after you've already done the major lifting, the heavy lifting, and the work. In other words, you create a tutorial that you sell for $5, $10, or $15 or $20, and I have a lot of those. But after you do the hard work of creating that tutorial, guess what? When people buy that, you're gaining income, but you've already done the work. So that's the cool part about it. I've been seeing on Facebook, someone's come up with all these different slogans for, keep calm, play trumpet or whatever. Or all I think about it when I'm at work is playing trumpet. Well, that's someone's idea of making money in addition to physically showing up for a gig or teaching. So you're watching this video, and whether you take my advice, I don't know, but if you don't take it, you're going to be 60 years old, and you might be out of a teaching position because they cut teachers, they cut music programs. You might be out of a symphony job because that's defunct now because there's no more support for it. And you might be looking around wondering, what the hell just happened? And then you might look in the classifieds or get online or Craig's and have to take a job, working at Home Depot during the day, and just, keeping your fingers crossed that you'll still be able to get a couple gigs, for your instrument. So Don't let that happen to you, because I'm giving you the advice right now to do something different. And that means that you're going to have to come up with some kind of creative idea that will serve you. Okay, so I kind of gave you some ideas, but the one that everybody can do is what I'm doing right now with all of you. You can really create some value for other people by just giving them some advice on your particular instrument or voice and making a YouTube video of it. I mean, I guess there's other places like Vimeo, but I don't really do a whole lot of some of the other ones. But um, if you do well enough at YouTube, YouTube will hold your hand and they'll make you what's called a YouTube partner. Once you become a YouTube partner, guess what? You start making money off your videos. The more videos you got, the more cha-ching that you got. Yeah, so it's better to have 100 videos where you're getting 1,000 views, let's say for every video, than to have a one and doneer video where it went viral and you got 500,000 or you got 1,000,000 views. YouTube's going to reward you for your creativity and your content, and also the amount of videos you have on your channel. So did that make sense? You're going to get more if you have 100 videos talking on a particular subject. You'll get paid by YouTube more money than if you had one video that was the one and doneer, or one hit wonder, whatever you want to call it, that had like 1,000,000 views, but that's all you got. So you can be doing that right now. If you're a voice teacher, a performer, soloist, vocalist, if you're a composer, arranger, transcriber, I mean, these are all talents that not all of us have, and some of you guys are experts at it. You can share some of your skills. I mean, you don't have to give everything away for free, but a lot of times that builds good karma. You give some stuff away for free, and then you also have some things that you can sell on your website. That builds really goodwill and good karma in the universe, but also with people. People are learning and getting information from you, and they're liking that, and they like how you explain stuff, and they might go to your site and say, you know what, I also want to try that thing, or I also want to get that course on arranging Dixieland jazz work. That's just something I just pulled out of my hat, or arranging um, cantatas, or come on, I mean, just whatever you're an expert in. I'm just using arranging. You could also be um, a juice harp expert. Everybody know what a juice harp is. So you should start with YouTube and start seeing how you can create value for other people, create value in your products that would be of value to other people. And once you do that, you can transition into a YouTube partner. And it's really cool because you get paid just for people watching your videos. Of course, they're not paying for anything, but you get paid. So that's something to really think about. Another thing to think about too is, what if you ever became incapacitated? It will happen to some of us. I hope it doesn't. A car accident or some disease or some freak accident, a slip and fall accident, and if you're a pianist and you break your hand in a certain way that you can never play the same again, what are you going to do? So you need to have other ideas as you're going along, gigging and teaching. Things happen. You could become incapacitated. I wouldn't want that for myself either, but as it stands right now, I guess who's still going to be making a little bit of cha-ching, even if I got to the point where I couldn't play this. I mean, if I was laying up in a hospital bed, I'm still going to be making something, at least off my videos here. And then at least off some of the tutorials I have at my website. So something still will be coming in. I won't be starving. So anyway, these are ideas that you need to think about now. And it's never too late to start. Also, Social Security, will it be there for some of you youngsters? If you're 20 or you just graduated college, you're 22 or 24, will it be there in 40 years? It may not be there. You need to treat this seriously, and just on the off chance that you arrive at 65, 40 years from now, our country is a lot different and insolvent, and there's no more Social Security. Um, wow, what if you don't have that? So you need to be thinking about these things. It seems like when I observe people on Facebook and other places, it seems like they're totally focused on getting the next gig, getting the next student. Nothing wrong with that, but to be smart, you should also be focused on what happens if you can't get that next gig. What happens if you can't get that next student? For all the reasons that I mentioned in this tutorial. What happens if you can't do that? Well, you already know some of them. You're going to have to probably get a job, somewhere else unrelated to music. So you might as well focus on that now and think outside the box. You have the talent and the ability to come up with some pretty cool stuff that other people might want to buy, that they might want to have. And that could be instructional videos, how to do stuff in regards to your particular expertise in music. Um, Heck, even band directing. I mean, I took several classes like that for college, but geez, in college, but it's been so long, and I didn't exactly stay as a band director for any length of time. Really, I just didn't like it. I like working one on one, or I like presenting to a group, like in a lecture or master class, and I like playing. But being a generalist and managing large groups of kids and all that goes with it just wasn't my cup of tea, and I wasn't really good at it. That's not really my expertise. But it would be cool if I could get online and someone who's just an absolute master band director had some cool videos that someone like myself could watch, and tips on directing stuff that you wouldn't necessarily get in a college class. This would have to come from somebody who has years and years of expertise that they don't keep teaching college. These would be tips and tricks for band directors. Even how to line up the right people to write your marching band drill or to do the arranging for your band, or how to recruit kids. So all these, I'm just thinking out of the box. I mean, I'm thinking no matter what you do in music, you want to find something that will create value, other people will want it, and that you can derive income from it. Maybe even we can call it passive income in the future, just in case things don't go according to your plan. I don't know about you, but not everything goes according to my own plan. That's called life. Just just can't happen. Can't I mean you can't live a perfect straight line through life with everything goes your way. It just doesn't really work that way, as you already know. So if you've been thinking about this, or if the thought was in the back of your mind, like what am I going to do? What happened to me if I got in a car accident and something happened and I had a brain injury and I wasn't able to sing anymore. I wasn't able to direct anymore. Something. What would I do? You need to be thinking that kind of stuff. Yeah, I just gave you an awesome one. YouTube. Become a YouTube partner. Start focusing, dedicating a certain amount of time to creating value in videos and video tutorials. I mean, it can even be entertaining. As you know, some of mine are ridiculous and entertaining, but I like doing that. As my personality, and I know that some people laugh at that. They laugh at it, they get a chuckle. Well, if I just made you laugh and you got a little chuckle out of something I did on my videos, well, then it was worth doing, right? You just had a funny laugh at it. Maybe you laughed at me, or maybe you're laughing with me, but then you go on and so that created a better mood for you. And I like doing stuff like that. Uh, so what else? So anyway, I gave you some ideas. The YouTube partner thing is big. Um, can you create something that you could sell? And I gave you some ideas about that. The T-shirts with the different logos for instruments on and things like that. Um, I mean, that's just an idea. I mean, there's got to be other stuff. You got tutorials, how-to things, all regards to your expertise in your particular field of music. So, I mean, maybe it even could be some kind of Android or iPhone app. I mean, your creativity is where you're going to find it. And I can't necessarily find it for you, because you're going to have to find that for yourself, because you are the expert in your field. And anyway, you'll see that once you start, you will develop, at least for me, I have just a plethora of ideas that are constantly coming into my head, and I put them out there. Some of them flop, and some of the ones I didn't expect to do. I got a video right now that I didn't really expect to do that well, because everybody knows it. It's called the three top um, ways to play high, and it's the mainstream ways that most college professors and professional brass players would teach you. I didn't expect that one to do well at all. The reason is because I thought everybody knew it. I mean, don't we all know the three things that you're going to be taught if you go to university or if you study with a professional? If you're playing a brass instrument, don't you already know the three ways, the three main ways that students are taught how to increase their range, especially at a university or college. I thought everybody knew that, and I thought that was probably going to be a flop. Maybe 1,000 views or a couple thousand views at the very most. After these last couple of years, it's starting to sneak up on the $100,000 or 100,000 view mark. I mean, I had no idea. I just recorded that one afternoon, and I didn't think it would do all that well. I thought it would create value for people because at least they knew the three ways. And it turns out it was a lot more valuable than I even thought about that time. And there's been some other things that I thought were really cool that I did, and flopped. And maybe after several years it's got a couple thousand views, but and I would have thought it had done better. One last thing that you need to know about YouTube. I used to be worried about some of the maggots out there that would give me thumbs down on everything, and I got in contact with YouTube to ask how that helped or hurt my ratings. You're going to be surprised at what they told me. Any interaction on your videos, whether it's a comment, a positive comment, a negative comment, a thumbs up, a like, or a thumbs down, YouTube blindly treats it all the same. They treats it as interest in your video, and they rank your video higher on Google and in the YouTube search. So if you got 20 positive likes and you got 50 thumbs down from the haters out there, your video is going to be ranked high. So don't worry about I used to worry about it. I don't worry about it now. In fact, I welcome it. I got one video where I think I got 30 likes and I got 40 or 50 dislikes, and Lord knows why. That video ranks high, and guess what's in my video? My website link. So good. Give it a thumbs down. You're interacting with my video, and you're helping me promote. Those haters out there are promoting my video. Every time they do something with it, they leave a comment. Of course, I get rid of a lot of the nastier, bad, negative comments, but if they give it a thumbs down, you've just helped my video move up a little bit, hater. So you people that are listening to this and thinking about taking my advice about becoming a YouTube partner and having something to fall back on in the future, don't be scared of people disliking your video. You can't do that. I'm not. I don't even really care too much about what most people think about me anyway. I think highly of myself. I like how I do things, and I like how I play. And if Joe Blow, who's got his thumb up his ass, doesn't like it, I don't care. I do things for me because I like how I do things. And if you happen to like it, well, then that's pretty cool, But if you don't like it, I really could care less. And that's the attitude that you have to have. And I think a lot of us professional trumpet players probably had to develop that attitude in order to get out in front of, several thousand people and play this thing. It's not like playing the piano where the note's there. The note's not always here, folks. If you happen to play, or if you don't happen to play a brass instrument, you may not know the note is not always here. And you can listen to the best, even Maynard Ferguson, the best trumpet player in the world. He had times where the notes weren't coming out right for him. It's just part of playing this instrument. So if you made it all the way to the end of this video, I congratulate you. That meant that you were halfway serious about your career as a musician and or teacher or arranger or public, whatever you do in music. And you've now, at least, I hope I've turned on the light bulb and you're thinking, he's got something here. I might ought to start thinking about doing something. And everybody can make videos now with their phone. All mine are made almost all. Some were made with camera, but most were made just with phone. So I wish you the best of luck, and I wish for you to be smart and clever and strategic, and that you would never wind up in the future not being able to do what you're good at for whatever reason that happened, and then feeling sorry that you didn't take this advice. Take this advice. You'll be shaking my hand at some point in the future if you took this advice right now. You'll be glad that you did. It won't be a waste of your time. I'm Kurt Thompson, and this message was for everybody, not just horn players, everybody involved in music in some capacity, where they derive income from, music or teaching or anything in regards to this profession. I hope that this serves you well, and at the very least, you're going to look into doing something for yourself, your future self. Bye-bye. Thanks again for watching this video. I hope that you got something out of it. Sometimes I make a video just to make you laugh. A lot of times I make a video to educate you on something and maybe even help solve a problem. So I hope something like that occurred for you in this video. And while you're at it, again, subscribe, click on my website link, and go on to the next video. It's lovely out here. Have a great day.